All right. See if it's thinking about recording. Well, I'm just excited for you guys. You've come this far in your journey, and that is an exciting place to be. I would love, before we get started, I would love to hear like some successes. What are you excited about? How much have you lost? And, or maybe like, what would be one piece of advice that you would give yourself like a year from now, as far as like how you want to continue with your healthy habits, or like something you want to remind them of, like that's going to be important for you to be able to keep your weight off? Is there anything that you've thought of, like you got to keep doing this to stay healthy? So either something that you're excited about or like a tip that you'd give yourself. Anyone want to share?
Well, I
Something
got,
that,
Go ahead, Wayne.
I got into it a lot because I have heart disease. I can't take statins. But Optavia did nothing to lower my cholesterol at all. So I assumed it's just the genetics.
Some cholesterol is genetic.
But the triglycerides went from 600 down to 120.
Wow.
So that was huge.
That is great. Good. Well, what's one piece of advice? Like, what do you know you need to keep doing to be able to stay healthy?
Probably not work so much.
yeah.
Sorry, say that again.
And probably not work so much.
Oh,
Yes.
like take time to
Yes.
relax, right?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Anyone else want to share? Becky, how much have you lost? You look great.
Thanks. I've lost just about, I don't know, almost 20 pounds.
Wow.
So it's good. But this is my second time around. So
Okay.
I'm good at losing weight. I'm really good at it. I just, so I guess I just keep telling myself, I don't want to do this again. It's
Okay.
been lots of rounds of it. So
So
anyway.
what's your advice? Like, what did you notice the first time, like when you started gaining the weight back? What do you feel like you need to do different this time?
I think I used to get angry when you had to start working on it, like I was really good at coming out of it. I was really good at tracking, and just because that's how I came out of it. I never came out of it this way. I just moved to tracking and macro counting and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, and I think that it's a mentality thing, like I would get really upset. And I think over the years, I've learned everybody has to do this. Everybody has to just keep track of it and work at it. And I think I used to like compare myself, and just be like, oh, it seems like they don't even have to think about it. Or it seems like, but the truth is we all have to think about it,
Yes. That is good advice, because it's true. A lot of times you feel like you hit that number on the scale, like your goal, and you cross the finish line, like I'm done, never have to worry about this again, right? And that's not the case. It's just like a weightlifter. They could like work really hard to get to that bodybuilding stage, and if they never went back to the gym, are they going to keep those muscles? No, you have to keep working at them. Same thing with your health. And I think that's so important to remember, that it's not a finish line. It's a journey, like something that you have to continue. If it's important to you, that it's just like a way of life. And so we're going to go over how to keep it simple today. But one of my biggest tips is your mind and your body will always match up. So you've worked really hard to lose this weight. If you haven't done the mind work and it's still back here, your mind is very powerful. It will pull your body back to what's comfortable. Next time you go through a stressful situation, it's going to get you back to how you managed that before. Like might be, the chocolate or not exercising, whatever, like so that's why it's important, the brain work. So working through your life book, continuing to hop on those habits of health calls, staying connected with your health coach. And I will say right now, that's why I became a health coach. I wanted to never go back to how I felt before, 45 pounds heavier, tired all the time, grouchy, like not managing my emotions well with my kids. And I wanted to get better. So that's why I became a health coach. I really thought I'd never help anyone other than myself, but I loved that I would get to keep learning, and I would just take that identity on myself. Like, oh, I'm a health coach. Like, oh, I make healthy choices. Like if I'm at a party, like people know I'm a health coach. So I'm more mindful of that. But when I teach other people, my brain processes it more, and it's hard to go back when you're helping someone else move forward. So if that's a big concern for you, and I know that's Kathleen, I know that's one reason why you became a health coach, and Brighton, and probably Jennifer too. Like
It's true.
it's huge. So even if you help one person, like you do more for yourself
Yeah.
than anyone that you could ever help by working on the mindset, because it takes practice, to
Yeah.
actually get something. So that is just like my little tip. I always tell people, it's not that I mean, it's fun to have others, coaching with us, but I just know what it does for you to help someone else. So that's just like, if you're worried about gaining your weight back, I'm just going to say that right up front,
Yeah.
that is a game changer. All right. So, and that's something that we can explore, if it's something you're interested in, but that's not what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about life after weight loss today. Jennifer, can you give me a thumbs up if you see my screen? Is it sharing? Okay. I'm just putting it in PowerPoint mode. Oh, okay. Okay, what does life after weight loss look like? The 5-in-1, especially if you've been doing the 5-in-1, it's so simple. And hopefully my slides will catch up. My computer's being slow, but it's so simple. Like, you don't have to think about it. You eat your 5 meals, you know what you do for your lean and green, like you're not having to think too much about it. But we want to go over some tips on what it will look like in this next phase. So these are like my top tips. I call them my high 5. All right. These are the habits you want to be mindful of. And I would say, even ask yourself every night, how did I do with my high 5? Like, think about it. It only takes a second. How did I do with eating within an hour of waking up, eating every 3 hours, a balanced meal, drinking my water, sleeping, getting my sleep, 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Did I exercise today? How am I managing my stress? Like, those are crucial. So those are like non-negotiables. If you skip a day of drinking your water, you want to get right back on track. Like, don't let it slip too far, because these are the things that are going to help you, long term, to stay healthy. Like I said, I call them the high 5. So you got your nutrition, you got your water, your sleep, your exercise, and your mindfulness. Those are just really important. All right. So during the program, during the 5-in-1, you ate every 3 hours, right? You got your body adjusted to, this is the time I eat. And you know what? Even during this optimization phase after weight loss, I still eat the exact same times as I did when I'm on 5-in-1. It's like a baby. Like, they have their times that they eat every 2.5 to 3 hours. And so I have to wait an hour to eat after I wake up, because I'm on thyroid medicine, but I eat at 8, 11, 1, 4, 6:30, and 9:30. Like, those are like my times that I eat every day. And so my body kind of has cues. Like, I just start getting a little hungry about that time, and I never eat a lot. I just still like kind of eat smaller balanced portions. So we know the science behind that is astounding. 2 groups of people, they ate the exact same things, but one ate that, the food 6 small portions versus 3 bigger meals. They lost more weight, they were less hungry, they reduced their cholesterol and their insulin levels. And so science just shows, like, if you can keep your blood sugar balanced, you're just going to feel better. You're not going to have the hunger cravings, the grouchy times during the day. Like, your body's going to keep the inflammation down better. And so during the 5-in-1, during your program or whatever program you're on, you learned the best options to eat. Your lean and green, those are always like, green means go. Eat those like as often as possible. Like, those should be your choices. I still like to do lean and green at night. Like, it's just a habit that I've gotten into, that most of the time I still do lean and green at night. And so this chart like really helps you to know like what the best options are. And this is the glycemic index chart. You can even Google that. There's even apps that teach it. It's in your book. But basically, like, everything that you ate on the 5-in-1, those are low glycemic foods. Also, as we start adding things in, like carrots, for example, you can see on the vegetable chart over on the green, the bottom of the green, it says raw carrots are a 30 out of 100. Like, 100 would be like if you ate like a spoon of sugar, like how your body reads that. So raw carrots is a 30, so below average on the sugar level. But look down there in the orange, cooked carrots are an 80. So you can see that cooked carrots like release the sugar, your body, spikes your blood sugar more with cooked carrots versus raw. So sometimes it's kind of interesting just to know like a healthier way to eat vegetables. And so doesn't mean that you can't have, things in the red, bananas, watermelon, those are all like awesome things, grapes, but it's like just not as often as the others. like the green, the low glycemic vegetable or fruits like apples, nectarines, peaches, pears, strawberries. And for sure, if you're eating something out of that red section, you know that's high glycemic. I always pair that with a protein, like to keep your blood sugar balanced. Because when you pair a protein and a carb, the carb spikes your blood sugar, the protein brings it down. And so when you eat those together, it like gets it a little bit more level. So just knowing like, okay, never eat rice by itself. Always have like rice and black beans or meat so that it balances it out. Something that's high glycemic with protein. So that's just a good reminder. And we can actually send this to you. It's on the transition link. You can even just like print it out, put it on your fridge. But this is an example of like what choices you'd want to make when, you know, during the optimization phase. So a list of healthy proteins, a list of healthy carbs. Basically, you're just going to pick one from each column every 3 hours, pair it together, 2.5 to 3 hours. So beans and quinoa, right? Or cottage cheese and fruit, or low fat cheese melted on a low carb tortilla, you know, so something like that. You just pick one from each column, pair them together. It also says at the bottom, the portion controlled meal replacements, your Optavia fuelings, those are golden. Keeping your weight off, it makes it so simple. If you have those around for when you're busy, when you're craving something sweet, it's just like a great way to keep your blood sugar balanced. So in this cupboard over here, I actually have all my bars so that when I'm here at the computer and it's time to eat, I could just grab one, eat it. I have my water. I'm good for 3 more hours. It makes it so simple. And so, or in the car, so I don't have to stop at a drive-through and pick something up. And so we have seen that people that use the fuelings into that next phase do a better job at keeping their weight off, just because they're more mindful. You know, they're eating healthy. They have convenient. Like you're going to be busier. You have more energy now that you're healthier, and so just having that convenient, healthy nutrition that's like very nutrient dense, that you can get a lot of nutrition for a few calories. I think that's helpful. One thing that I love is we're going to learn how to do it on our own also, you know, so sometimes you might not ever use fueling. Sometimes you're really busy and you just like are going to use them, or maybe you are going to go out to eat at night and you know that you're probably going to eat something that's high calorie. You're going to the Cheesecake Factory for your birthday. And so maybe you'll do fuelings throughout the day. So to kind of like, you don't want to skip meals, but it kind of like saves those calories, you know, if you know that you're going to enjoy something bigger. I love to use the 9-inch plate. My plates are smaller. Blue plates actually signal your brain like it's calming. It helps you eat less. Red and yellow plates, that makes you eat more. That's why every fast food restaurant is red and yellow. It stimulates your appetite, makes you want to eat more. So yeah, I just got like some, and it doesn't have to be blue, but I just got some 9-inch blue plates, and that's what I always eat my dinner on. And half of it I fill with fruits and vegetables, a quarter of it with healthy protein. And then if I'm having a starch, then I know like I have that a quarter of my plate, you know, to enjoy something healthy, a sweet potato, you know, brown rice, something like that. And so it just kind of keeps that in check, where before half my plate would have been like pasta and then French toast, you know, French bread, and then a little bit of green beans, right? Like you got to switch that thing around. And that's also good to remember, like if you go to a party, right, or a buffet, that's one thing I will say is like try not to go to buffets because you go out there feeling miserable, you're stuffed, you know, you feel like you've got to get your money's worth. But if you do go, or let's say you go to a party, instead of just starting at one end and going and getting everything that looks good, like just walk down the aisle first and say, okay, what vegetables am I, you know, going to eat? What protein looks good? Okay, like out of all these carbs, like what's my favorite? Be picky about those high carbohydrate foods. So for me, I don't love bread, so I hardly ever eat bread, but I love dessert. So that's kind of where I choose to use those calories, is like on dessert sometimes. So you kind of just like be picky about the carbs that you let back into your life, especially the unhealthy ones like white flour, that type of thing, sugar. And if anyone has any questions along the way, feel free to unmute and ask. So I'm just going to go through what transition looks like. Transition is so important, not just physically. Physically, it's huge because it's like a reboot for your metabolism. So if you see people that do like a low carb diet and then add all the food, like then they gain their weight back quickly, it's because they got to their goal and then they just started eating bread again, right? And their body didn't know what to do with that. So it just stored it, packed it on as fat. And so transition really helps adjust your body. Like it boosts your metabolism, it builds it up as we slowly incorporate more calories, more carbohydrate foods. It gets your body used to burning that again and helps you burn more efficiently. So it's really important physically to go through that transition, slowly incorporating each food group. You're going to be aware of like food sensitivities. Maybe the week that you add dairy, you're going to be able to feel like what your body feels like when you eat dairy. Then you'll know like if that's a sensitivity to you or, you know, breads. So you really get to enjoy each food group and learn how to eat that, you know, in the right balance. But also mentally, a lot of times you feel like, oh, I'm done. And then your brain's like, oh, go eat all the junk that you haven't eaten, you know, during those months. And you want to go, you know,
Yeah.
to all these restaurants that you haven't eaten, and the weight comes right back on. So mentally, like you're slowly like releasing the leash a little bit longer, you know, like as you're incorporating each food group one at a time. And then I always say like sugar, make sure that's the last food group that you add back in. Get through all the food groups so you can really feel in control of your choices. And then, you know, if you're feeling really in control of that, then, you know, enjoy a dessert or something. But don't feel like you have to rush to do that. And know your weakness. So for me, sugar is a weakness. If I start letting myself eat candy, that's all I crave. And so I really have to watch that. Like I have to feel like I'm in control enough, like very structured enough to start having a dessert here and there. If I see myself craving it, then I kind of like have to tighten the reins a little bit. So know your weakness. Sometimes it's bread. Sometimes, you know, like sometimes it's your portions. So kind of just know, like just be aware of what's going on in your brain. And so when you start transition, it's pretty fun. The first week, you just do the 5-in-1, but you add an extra cup of vegetables during the day. And I would say don't add it to the lean and green. That would make that lean and green meal so big. Like, you know, a cup of baby carrots in the afternoon, or, you know, I would say just cut up some veggies and have it ready. Like, so you still want to keep these things convenient, portion them out like in 1 cup baggies and just grab one in the afternoon and eat that. Or you could do part of your lean like in egg whites or something and make an egg white omelet in the morning, like saute some spinach or something. So, and that week it does not have to be a low carb vegetable like you've been doing on the 5-in-1. It could be any vegetable. It could be a sweet potato. It could be peas. It doesn't matter because you're not trying to stay in fat burn. So enjoy those things maybe that you haven't eaten that week. And once you hit your goal, I like you to go one more week on 5-in-1. So you have that like 1 to 2 pound buffer, because when you start adding the food groups back in, if you're having more sodium, like, and you retain a little bit more water, I don't want you to feel like, you know, like you're stressed out about that because you gained a pound. So I kind of like you to have that buffer before you start transition. And usually week 1, you still feel really good, especially if you're not doing all high carb vegetables. You might still lose, you know, a pound or 2 during that week because, you know, it's still very low carb. The second week is when we get to add fruit. So basically you're going to just always add this extra thing on. So you still do what you did before, but add the new thing on. So you still do the 5-in-1, you still do the extra cup of veggies. Now you're going to add 2 pieces of fruit and you're going to take out one of your fuelings. And we still like to pair that with a protein and carb. So maybe one of your fuelings you'll have with, one of your fruits you'll have with a fueling, maybe put some berries in your shake or banana or something. And then the other one, maybe you'll have your 10 almonds for your snack with an apple, for example, or a tablespoon of almond butter, you know, with some apple slices, something like that. Or you,
Liz,
yeah.
I had a question about that. I'm wondering what's 2 medium pieces of fruit? Like what do you count?
Like 2 apples, like, you know how there's some giant apples, that would probably be 2 servings. So like just a medium apple, medium, you know, if it's a giant orange or something, then that would probably be like 2 servings, just like a medium
So
orange.
like the
apple or
snack
pear.
apple, what they sell is the snack apples for kids. It's probably about the size of a medium apple.
I know they do make some small ones, so a lot of those snack ones
Yeah.
are pretty small, but like just like a normal, I don't know, normal apple. You don't have to worry too much about it. Like if it's a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, but just, you know, if it's a super large apple, then you'll know that's probably like two servings there.
Okay.
And if you're doing berries or melon, then half a cup would be one of your servings, like of berries, for example. And sometimes you might want to take part of your lean portion for the, from your lean and green, and eat it with the fruit if you want. So maybe like half a cup of cottage cheese with a pear, for example. That would be a third of your protein from the night, that you would just deduct from that. And just know that this week, sometimes you are feeling a little bit more hungry because you're for sure out of fat burn because of the fruit. So just kind of be aware of that. If you need to add a little bit of extra protein those days, go ahead and do that. Egg whites are a great, like really low carb, low fat protein to add, or a little bit of chicken breast or something. But that's a fun week, like just to really enjoy those fruits that you haven't eaten for a while. Week
Liz,
3.
I have one more question.
Yeah,
I have one more question on that week. Sorry.
You're
Because
good.
this is the week that tripped me up, where I
Okay.
just was feeling like, so because I lost a meal replacement, or
Mhm.
like, but then there wasn't like an additional protein. Like you're saying, we can just throw it in there, right?
Yep. So I mentioned that you could take some of the lean from your lean and green.
But I
Like
don't
a
want to do that because I
Okay.
like all my protein in that one meal,
Okay.
And
Yep.
I feel like it's funny because it's probably the same calories, right? 2 fruits, but somehow I feel like I'm like missing that protein because I liked having my bar or whatever, anyways.
Yeah, and it's actually more calories than a bar. A bar is around 100, and each piece of fruit is at least 100 usually.
Yeah.
So you're slowly increasing, those calories each week. So, and that's what I said. You could do like 10 almonds, like a small handful of almonds with your fruit. Like that would be your optional snack with your fruit. Or like I said, if you're feeling hungry, go ahead and just add like 2 to 3 extra ounces of protein, a couple of slices of turkey breast lunch meat, or some leftover chicken, or a little bit of cottage cheese, something like that. So it normally wouldn't affect you at all. So especially if you're exercising, which I do recommend. If you haven't started exercising, once you start transition, it's a really good time to like just add in like a walking plan, even 10 or 15 minutes a day of something, just to get in that habit. And then you get those extra little bit of calories that you're burning. That really helps with maintaining your weight. Just a little bit of extra activity really helps. So does that answer your question, Becky?
Yeah. I think I'm just making it trickier than it is because I
Yeah.
know it's just like if you just follow it exactly, I'm sure it'll work. I'm just kind of my mind's kind of just
And so if you're stumped on that, just add a little bit of extra protein. Get a few slices of low sodium turkey breast lunch meat, roll it up and eat it same, close together with one of your fuelings. So not a huge deal. And then week 3, you're going to, so you're still doing the fruit, you're still doing the vegetables, and then we're going to add a cup of low fat dairy. So this is a great time to add like a Greek yogurt, some cottage cheese. So this is a great place to put, the last week you didn't know what to eat with the fruit. So low fat dairy is a great thing to like pair with your fruit. And if you didn't eat dairy before, don't feel like you should add that in now. You could replace it with like some almond milk, cashew milk, soy milk, something like that. Or a vegan option of like a yogurt or something. So, but that's where you would add that in on that week. And so you could do like fruit and cottage cheese or Greek yogurt. Some of my recommendations on Greek yogurt is just look at the label. You want it either pretty balanced, carbs and protein, or higher protein than carbs. So like during the 5-in-1, you could do plain fat-free Greek yogurt, and you could sweeten it with some, like some stevia and vanilla. So you can continue doing that. Or some of my favorite yogurts are like the Oikos 000 yogurt, Dan Light and Fit, or like the 2G, like 2 grams yogurt is really low carb, good protein. It's just like has 2 grams of sugar instead of all the sugar that most yogurts have. But I would say definitely stick with Greek yogurt versus regular yogurt, which is just sugar and not much protein. So, or you could keep it simple and just add some milk to one of your shakes, right? So you can keep it simple or pair that with, one of your fruits. All right, and then moving into week 4, and I say 4, 5, and 6, because once you get through week 4, like keep that habit for a couple of weeks just to make sure your weight's staying the same. If it's dropping more than you know, and you don't want it to, then we'll add more calories during those weeks. But usually like just to get in the habit of that routine of kind of what you eat. So on this week, we're doing everything that we did before, but we're going to add 4 to 6 ounces of lean meat. So you'll like that, Becky. And or you can do like beans instead. Replace that amount with beans. So you could do like black beans instead of meat, or any kind of beans, but black beans are really, really good for you. And so let's see, we want to keep it still with healthy meats. And then we're also going to add 1 serving of whole grains. And so this will help you just to be really picky about what grains you love. You know, if you love oatmeal, have some oatmeal or a whole grain piece of bread, but really try to choose like healthy options. Try to stay away from the white breads, you know, those kind of things that just turn to sugar so fast in your body. Try to go with like old-fashioned oatmeal, high fiber cereal. Sourdough bread is actually, sourdough and rye bread are like the best breads for you because they're very low glycemic. They don't spike your blood sugar. So those are good options. And so essentially you're
I
going
have
to
a question about that.
Yeah.
Because I have gotten into sourdough and I make it every week.
you're going to have to teach me.
Oh, we need to get together, Liz.
Yeah.
We need to get together. But so does it still need to be a whole grain, even as sourdough, or can it be a
Nope.
white flour? Okay.
Yeah, sourdough, like the
Because of the way that it of the way that it breaks it down.
mhm.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yep.
I just wanted to confirm.
Yeah, but you can do whole grain sourdough too, and you can do sourdough like
I've tried making it and it just, my
Not as
kids
good.
will not touch it.
Okay, and you can do sourdough like with any kind of baking. I've been following someone on Instagram that does like when she makes cookies, when she makes anything, she just has a sourdough starter, and it doesn't. She said it doesn't have a sour taste, so that's something you
have-
can get into, or don't worry about it.
Liz, we need to get together.
That would be fun. Yep. So those are good options. They're just low glycemic. And then, or just, you know, your favorite healthy carb. So, for example, with pasta, I don't love pasta. I like zucchini noodles just as much. So I still do zucchini noodles. I'd rather do like my grain or carb on something else, like a piece of French bread, if I, you know, or some oatmeal. So just kind of being picky about like the things that you really like that are from that category, the higher carb. And not that you need to be afraid of it, but you know, that's kind of where people get out of hand, like just because it's so simple to add like quick carbs. So basically you're going to be on a 3 and 3 program. You're going to be doing like 3 meal replacements in between your meals, and then like 2 lean and greens. And then you'll be having like your dairy with some fruit. So it might be like cottage cheese and fruit in the morning, or a whole grain piece of bread with an egg, or, you know, so in the morning, you're just going to pair a protein and a carb, and then basically doing kind of lean and green twice a day. I make a goal that I eat vegetables 3 times a day. Like that's always my goal, is like at dinner, at lunch, and then for one of my snacks. I like to make sure I'm eating vegetables just to stay in the habit of doing that. And, you know, it's good to get a variety of foods. I used to say like, just pick like a routine and do like yogurt and berries every day until you get sick of it. But then I did learn that it's good for your gut, like to have a variety of foods. So maybe just pick like a few things that are kind of your go-to things. Like it might be berries and cottage cheese, or whole grain piece of toast and an egg, or you know, like, so you just kind of have, or some beans with some quinoa. So you just kind of have a few things that are kind of your go-to things. And then when you get tired of that, like substitute it. So it's good to keep it simple still, so that you're not relying on what sounds good at this moment. Because so often if you've gone too long, the junk food sounds good to get your blood sugar back up. So just kind of having like a routine, like a rice cake with some almond butter and sliced bananas, you know, like you just kind of have your routine that you like to do. So a few different options. And let's see. And then once you get like do that for 3 weeks, like you really are getting the hang of like making your own choices, then you can replace those fuelings in between the meals with something of your own if you want. Like if you want to take out, you know, a couple of your fuelings and do like just a protein carb balance, like just pairing a protein and a carb together. And we can figure out your T, which just means like how many calories you need to maintain your weight with your activity level. So just reach out to your mentor coach. It's actually on your coach's website under like our 3 and 3 plan. There's like a T calculator that you can type in like your age, your weight, your height, your activity level. And I just always say like guess lower. Like if you're pretty active, you know, I guess lower on that, like mildly active, you know, light exercise, even if you're a heavy exerciser to start with, just because most people don't need as many calories as it's going to say. And so start on the low end and see like what your weight does. If it's dropping, then you know that you need to increase it, you know, or if you're hungry all the time, you know, you need to increase it. But so often people will add too many calories at once and then they'll kind of start gaining weight. So I like to guess low and then build up from there. All right. Any other questions at all about the transition?
I think I've heard, so my question is probably past the transition because that's pretty self-explanatory. But once you're done, I'm sure you stay in those habits. I'm getting hung up on the numbers and I know it. So I'm just feeling like, because lots of people say they like to track when they're done. And I'm wondering if, what is even my question? Maybe I just won't. I'll
Just
just
what to do
this.
after. So what I like to do, like, so during that transition, a few tips, Becky, is I say monitor your weight very closely for a few months, like as you're getting into your own habits. So keeping a food log or MyFitnessPal, like tracking it, like just being really determined on, like focused on your health, because your body has a set point, a weight set point that probably before you started the program, you were probably around that weight for quite a while. And now you've made a change and it's uncomfortable for your body. It wants to go back to where it's comfortable. A lot of that is the mindset. So like just really being diligent, like that you're tracking, you're weighing often, like you're just staying on top of those healthy habits. And it's usually about, you know, about a month per 10 pounds that it takes. But I even say like, if you can get 6 months and just be really like consistent with your healthy habits and making sure that you're pairing protein and carb, your body will readjust to that lighter weight as that's the comfortable weight. And so I see a lot of people that, you know, do that, you know, just make sure, you know, they're paying attention to what they're eating and their healthy habits. And then once their body has adjusted, then they can lax up a little bit and they don't gain the weight back as easy. It's just like, it wants to go back soon after. So you just kind of have to really be mindful so that your body can readjust, if that makes sense. And so once you kind of feel like you got the hang of it, and your weight's staying the same, you're not like starving all the time, you're not dropping weight, like you'll know you're at a good point. And then at that point, like we move more into like intuitive eating. So you'll just know, like if you need to eat more during one meal, you'll be hungry, you'll eat more. But for me, I just like always pair a protein and carb. I keep my I kind of snack throughout the day. That's just what I do. You don't have to do this, but I just like, you know, have a piece of toast and an egg, or I have an apple and a cheese stick. Like I just do that every 3 hours, and then I do my lean and green meal. That's what works for me. And so that's what I like. I don't stress about it when I fix my lean and green meal. I just use the smaller plate. I enjoy what I like, but in moderation. And I moved to a place that like just being really mindful that you can have anything that you want. Like I said, I like dessert. So if I'm going to have a cookie, I'll know, okay, I can have that because I can have anything I want. It's not time to eat for 20 minutes. So that's going to be my carb, and I'm going to have a protein with it, and I'm going to enjoy that cookie. I'm not going to feel bad about it one bit. And if I want another cookie in 3 hours, I can choose that again if I want, or, you know, most likely I'll choose something healthier. But just knowing that you can eat whatever you want in the right moderation. But a tip is like, try to stay away from just the mindless snacking, because that's where a lot of calories will add up, like not even thinking about it. So that's why I like staying on your schedule of I only eat at this time. And, you know, sometimes you can't do that, but for the most part, like trying to stay on your eating times. If there's something that sounds good, have a glass of water and just know, okay, I can have that, you know, next time I eat, I'm going to have that popcorn, you know, or whatever. So that's really helpful, like just to really try not to do the mindless snacking, because that's where a lot of calories add up, just snacking on nuts or snacking, you know, that type of thing. So I hear some laughing. Someone must be guilty of that.
No, Wayne wanted to know what week you add in the donuts.
Oh, the donut. I told you, like after you get through the transition, then try the donut, but that's your carb, Wayne. And you need to add a protein with it, right? And you're just gonna have one donut. You're gonna enjoy that donut. You're gonna be like, yeah, that was awesome, right? And then
Yeah.
the next 3 hours, you're probably gonna have something healthier. So it's learning about like moderation, that it's not donuts all day long. But if you really want a donut, that it's a choice. And that's why I like waiting until it's time to eat, because it's not a buffer. It's not like, oh, I'm stressed, so I'm gonna eat this donut. It's like, yes, I really want that donut. I'm gonna eat that for my next, carb that I eat when it's time to eat. So that way it's a choice. And maybe when it comes time to eat that, like it's not gonna sound good anymore, and you won't want it, or you'll enjoy it, but you'll pair it with a protein, and then you'll just keep going. Does that make sense?
Sure.
And that takes practice, but I think that really helps. Like just knowing you can have anything you want, like whatever like you're really wanting, enjoy it, eat it smart, eat it in the right portion. Try not to eat things out of the package. Like look at the serving. Oh, this many crackers. I'm going to put it on my plate, and then I'm going to have, like some cottage cheese and guacamole with it, and awesome, So, so Becky, don't overthink it. Like just go through the transition, like get in those habits. And then once you like, that's what I love about transition is like, you just get in the habit of kind of what you eat, like what amount you eat at what time, and kind of how you pair it. And then as you move on, it's just like kind of natural. Oh, it's time to eat a carb and a protein, oh, I love having, Greek yogurt and berries. I'm going to have that, so not overthinking it. And, I also like to do, like I always like to cook extra lean and green so that I have something easy for lunch that I could, that I know is healthy, or I'll make a pot of healthy soup and just kind of eat that for lunch throughout the week. So just kind of planning ahead, meal planning, I think is key long-term, like always just be prepared when you leave. Always have one of your fuelings in your purse or your, or in your car. Always take your water with you so that you are planning ahead. How long will I be gone? Okay, I need some healthy snacks. Like, just like you did when you have a baby, right? You're not gonna go out without diapers and formula or whatever. Same thing with your body. Like, what do I need to take care of myself until I get back? So, so that just really helps, just kind of staying in those habits. So, and then monitor your weight. Give yourself about a 5-pound buffer. When you hit that, call your coach. Like, don't wait till it's 10, 15, 20 pounds. It's so much easier to catch it at 5 pounds. So call them up, say, all right, I need to just go over my healthy habits or something because the scale's going up. And then I would say, like, keep a food log for a few days before you call. And so you can go over what you're doing. They can help you make some adjustments. We can go over the healthy habits, set some goals, and just know the 5 and 1 is a tool, right? It's not a bad thing to go back on the 5 and 1 if the weight, like you gained 5 pounds and you want to get it off real quick, go on 5 and 1 for a couple of weeks, right? And you don't have to transition if it's just, less than a month that you've done it. You just kind of like slowly, make healthy choices, add more back in. But I love to do 5 and 1 after a holiday, after a vacation, like anytime that might have gotten you out of your best practices. That's just kind of like a good reset. Oh, I'm going to do 5 and 1 for a week, get back in those habits. Sometimes it's just a few days that it takes, like till I feel like I'm back in the groove, but it's just a tool. It's a healthy tool that you can use whenever you need. Like there's nothing wrong with, just a reset sometimes. All right. And I also mentioned that you can continue hopping on those habits of health calls. You can continue like commenting in the group, stay connected with your coach, check in. Like if this is important to you, like just stay accountable with your coach, check in with them like at least once a month. Hey, I'm just checking in. I'm still doing well with my healthy habits. I could improve on my water. I'm going to be working on that. Just wanted to check in, like just like stay connected.
Or you can live with your coach.
Yes, or you could live with your coach. In some cases. I don't know. Jennifer, are you opening up your bedrooms for Becky? So, all right. I think that's my last slide. So I'm going to go ahead and stop share. And did we have any other questions at all?
Did a good
Right.
job. Liz. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Oh, you are welcome. But I just want to reiterate, don't overcomplicate it. Like just go through the transition. I think that's
See you
important.
thinking, Becky.
Yes, I can see you thinking also, Becky. And
I am.
once you get through that, like that 6th week, you have formed these new habits. And then at that point, if you're still confused, call up Jennifer, or we can do a 3-way call with me and I can help you kind of like plan out your day. Some people like it very, very structured. Like I know exactly what I'm going to eat, and you can do that. You could meal plan if you want, but you're going to get in the habit of, okay, carb and protein. Like you're just going to know carb and protein, what sounds good, you know, and go from there. And, you know, keeping your portions in check by using the smaller plate. And, you know, as you move into that intuitive eating, you'll like sense your body. I never, ever am stuffed. I'll never eat. Like, I hate that feeling of feeling stuffed. Like, I just always eat until I'm satisfied, until the hunger goes away and I'm just like, good, you know, and then I'm good for 3 more hours. I keep my water, you know, so I just like always feeling like comfortable. And so like just using that as a tool, like to gauge how you're doing. But at first it doesn't hurt to just kind of track, just so you can see like when you're making your own choices about where you are, like with your carbs and your protein and your calories. And then you'll know, okay, I got this. Like, you know, making my own choices. I'm still staying in these good ranges. I'm not gaining any weight. And then I love that we don't have to track calories forever. Like just use your 9-inch plate, you know, all those habits that you worked on.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Any other questions at all?